Florida man, elderly gentleman, 72 years old. He got arrested. He had a Walmart delivery drone hovering over his home, and he said, "Please leave." And he tried to shoo this delivery drone away. And when the delivery drone didn't leave, he went into his home, retrieved a firearm, and he shot at it. And this may be one of the funniest clips I've seen in a while.
At some point today, did a drone fly over your house and you shoot at it? I'm going to be real blunt with you and ask.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, why'd you shoot at it?
Because I thought it was somebody and turned around playing games on my house.
I got you. Where did you see the drone at?
Right above me.
What, can you walk out and just kind of show me? Okay. Sitting straight above it?
Straight above me.
Do you have any idea?
Hovered, lowered some kind of cord down or something, turned around and sent something back up, and then after it was shot at, it turned around and went north.
Gotcha. Okay. What'd you shoot at it with?
9mm.
So it's hilarious because this guy, I mean, he has no idea that he's even in trouble. I think he thinks that the police are there because they're like worried about the drone, and they're really worried about him shooting at the drone. And he's like, "Oh yeah, it was right there. I went in, got my gun, shot at it."
Okay. All right.
How much trouble am I in?
Quite a bit. You've been honest with me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Quite a bit, actually. So there's a federal charge that goes along with it. There's a felony charge that goes along with it. That's kind of like where we're at.
Okay.
Okay.
What happens and what happens and what?
Well, before we continue this conversation, I'm really just for you being honest. You really just took me off guard. I'm not.
What am I going to do? I'm going to lie?
True. All right, sir. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say
You're up putting me under arrest.
I'm just going to arrange you the Miranda warning just so I can get it out. That way you and I can continue our conversation, okay?
I understand the Miranda warning. I don't have to speak to you unless I want an attorney, okay?
I got you. Let me just read you this real quick, and then we'll go from there, okay?
So this guy is an absolute legend. He sees a delivery drone outside of his home. He walks out. He tries to shoo it away. It doesn't leave. And so he retrieves a firearm and he shoots at it. The police show up and he thinks that the police are there to ask him about the drone. And he finds out he's going to be arrested. So they're reading him his Miranda rights. He's been charged with shooting at an aircraft, criminal mischief damage over $1,000, and discharging a firearm in public. He's an absolute legend. And as he's getting arrested, when they go to put him in handcuffs, he starts joking with these guys.
It just hovered above my house.
You said something about the police.
A cord or something. It stayed there for about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I shot at it. Okay.
I got you.
And the cord went up. It turned because it was facing east.
Okay.
Because that's east, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was working on my pool equipment.
Oh, you were outside when you noticed it?
Oh, I was working on my pool equipment.
Gotcha.
Waved it off and everything. Never left. I went inside, went into the safe, got the weapon, came out, tried to shoot it off again. It didn't move. I fired one round at it. Now they say I hit it, so I must be a good shot.
They say I hit it, so I must be a good shot. Absolute legend. Like, this is the kind of guy I'm like, I wish that was my grandfather. I wish it was. I hope he doesn't get in any trouble. I hope he gets a slap on the wrist and a warning here. I would be worried, though. You know, he seems like a straight white conservative male, so I don't think they're going to give him any breaks. But what an absolute legend.
Or else it's not that far away. So I'm under all sorts of. They say there's $10,000 worth of damage to the drone and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to wind up having to find a real good defense lawyer.
I mean, this guy's a legend. He's a legend. And I feel bad. I mean, is a 72-year-old man supposed to know that Walmart is delivering items with drones? Like, I understand why he would be like, what is this above my house? What is going on? And then they decide to put the guy in handcuffs, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, he's 72 years old. They cuffed him in the front, for the record. I do think the cops were like, their hands were tied here. You know what I mean? They had to do what they had to do. But when they go to put him in cuffs, this may be the greatest quote in the entire video.
You want a coffee in the front?
Whatever you need to do by protocol.
Well, no, we have.
We've been fine. There's no issues. We're not,
Yeah.
Just let me know if it's too tight, all right?
I can't breathe.
Awesome.
Whoa. I can't breathe. Legend. If he was going to get off with a warning, I think that joke right there at the end probably screwed him. He's going to get some liberal judge, and he's going to be cooked. I wanted to share that on the Amigos, but it was too good not to open up with it. There's a lot to get to today. Kamala Harris has crawled out from under a rock. She briefly emerged from hiding, and she brought with her a fake accent again at the National Black Caucus of State Legislatures Conference. And this is Kamala Harris.
I knew y'all were in town. I couldn't let it go without coming by to say hello. And to say thank you to everyone here, all of these extraordinary leaders. I wanted to come by and say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, whatever you may celebrate. But most important,
I'm here to ask for money. Can you donate to my campaign? We're $20 million in debt. Most importantly, Kamala Harris, just go back on vacation. Can she go back on vacation? Tim Walz also popped out of hiding. This time was on a local news channel, and Tim Walz is like, "Oh golly, I was surprised that we lost."
Felt like at the rallies, at the things I was going to, the shops I was going in, that the momentum was going our way, and it obviously wasn't at the end of time. So yeah, I was a little surprised. I thought we had a positive message, and I thought the country was ready for that.
Oh, I was a little surprised, he says. I was a little surprised. Okay. The majority of Americans weren't surprised. Not one bit. Not one bit. Although we were waiting for the steal to happen at 2 a.m., without a doubt. There's also more coming out about the Kamala campaign. Yesterday, the New York Times was having their Deal Book Summit. They do it every year. And the host of the Call Her Daddy podcast just called out Kamala Harris. So that was like the biggest podcast that Kamala Harris went on during the campaign. And there was talk, we just couldn't make it work with Joe Rogan. Well, the Call Her Daddy podcast is based in Los Angeles. They flew the Call Her Daddy podcast host to Washington, D.C. and recreated a set. And it cost them $100,000 to recreate the podcast set to make it look like Kamala Harris went to L.A. for the podcast. And the host just absolutely blasts her for it.
There's a little bit of controversy about that podcast because you did it. Do you know about this?
No, what?
Because in D.C., this interview happened in D.C.
Yeah.
In a hotel.
Yeah. Not in a hotel. It was like a random house.
It was like random house. But apparently, you can tell me, they spent, the Harris campaign spent like $100,000.
I did see that.
You know about this?
It's hilarious.
To build the studio.
Yeah, that's not true.
Not true. To make it look like it was the studio that you used in L.A.
My studio that is gorgeous in Los Angeles doesn't even cost six figures. So I don't know how cardboard walls could cost six figures, but.
Here's the thing. The entire campaign was a huge grift. Like, I feel like the entire Kamala Harris campaign was a money laundering operation. And what this is telling me is I was right to feel that way. Because you hear the host, there is no way. That's not true. It shouldn't have cost $100,000. But that's what people are saying. Oh, building that set cost $100,000.
But do you think they did that? I mean, you saw
Absolutely not. With love to them. Oh, my God, it was gorgeous, but, it wasn't that nice. It wasn't like gorgeous marble. No, that was not six figures.
But that's what the campaign said it was. I mean, ouch. It was not six figures. They said it cost six figures. Money laundering. I hope that they look into that campaign. I hope so. I mean, luckily, though, after January 20th, I don't know if we're going to see Kamala Harris anymore. Hopefully, right? Can she just go off into obscurity, please? There's a few other people we might see gone after the inauguration. The MSNBC president, Rashida Jones, says she may quit after the Trump inauguration. The post millennial has a quote. It's awesome. The quote on the article says, "It's amazing how many people want to spend more time with their families or look for new challenges when the ratings crash." Yeah, that's pretty much it. MSNBC President Rashida Jones is reportedly waiting the decision to bail from the network after President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration. Jones has been president of MSNBC since 2021, when she became the first black woman to head a major national media outlet. Amid the dropping ratings of the networks, Jones is considering her move for next, according to the New York Post. If she follows through, Jones will supposedly plan her move to coincide with Trump's scheduled swearing-in ceremony on January 20th. I feel like this is somebody else telling her, you're out after the inauguration. You're out. Obama popped up yesterday, too. I wish he would disappear. Obama popped up, and Obama, this guy, he pops up and he says, Republicans are the ones who rig elections and weaponize the justice system. He was, and get this is the cherry on top. He was speaking at a democracy forum. Oh, that's nice.
There are going to be times, potentially, when one side tries to stack the deck and lock in a permanent grip on power, either by actively suppressing votes or politicizing the armed forces or using the judiciary, the criminal justice system to go after opponents. And in those circumstances, pluralism does not call for us to just stand back and say, well, I'm not sure that's okay. In those circumstances, a line has been crossed, and we have to stand firm.
Obama knew he was lying. He could barely get the words out of his own mouth. One side tries to stack the deck and lock in, very long pause, a permanent grip on power, either by actively suppressing votes or politicizing the armed forces or using the judiciary criminal justice system to go after opponents. Does this guy have no self-awareness, or is he just gaslighting the American people? The guy that greenlit the spying on an incoming presidential president, right? This guy? This guy's going to tell us about that? This guy who's been secretly pulling the strings in the Democrat Party for the last 4 years, right? This guy? Okay. Hot take. And these are the leaders that we're supposed to listen to on the left. Okay. On the way, I want to talk about Pete Hegseth. A lot of people talking about Pete Hegseth. He is not backing down. President Trump is not backing down. But we have a few senators, Republicans, that are getting a bit in the way. Looking at you, Joni Ernst. We'll talk about that and more on the way. It's 9:20 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Up ahead here, we know now how the Manhattan CEO killer traveled to New York. Also, a new effort to cut out Tennessee's state grocery tax. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. Pete Hegseth yesterday not backing down.
You fight, you go do tough things in tough places on behalf of your country, and sometimes that changes you a little bit. And by the grace of God, and my Lord and Savior, I had an opportunity to come on up out of it and do great things with great veterans organizations that fought for vets, that fought for reform at the VA and for war fighters, and at the Fox News Channel to advocate for those very same causes. And I'm proud of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media.
I'm not backing down, and I'm not letting the media dictate what's going to happen. Good for you, Pete. Donald Trump also weighing in and says, no, I got Pete's back. Let's go. Let's go. We need that. Trump posting earlier today, Pete Hegseth is doing very well. His support is strong and deep, much more so than the fake news would have you believe. He was a great student, Princeton, Harvard educated with a military state of mind. He will be fantastic. High energy, Secretary of Defense. One who leads with charisma and skill. Pete is a winner, and there is nothing that can be done to change that. Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you to Pete Hegseth saying, I'm not going to let this be tried in the media. I'm not going to back down, because that's what they want to do. I mean, it's all feeling very Kavanaugh-esque, is it not? And that's what they want. They want to demonize this guy and assassinate his character, but he says, no, hard pass.
And I'm proud of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group. None of you. Not to that camera at all. I answer to President Trump, who received 76 million votes on behalf and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee. And I answer to my Lord and Savior and my wife and my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
Thank you. That's what we want. That's what we want. We just want the woke stuff gone. We just want, leaders that are going to give China a heads up out. Like that. That's what we want. That's what we want. And Pete Hegseth's lawyer is on the offense as well. He was on CNN last night talking with Caitlin Collins, and he's confirmed, listen, we're not going to deal with this. We're not going to take it. And if that 2017 sexual assault accuser causes Pete to not get the job, well, then they may file a lawsuit.
That I don't know if it quite rises to the level of a criminal extortion that the police would take it on, but I think it certainly does meet the definition under the California law for civil extortion. And it was something that we were considering at the time. And, quite frankly, with the violation of the agreement, if he is not confirmed as the Secretary of Defense, we may still bring a civil extortion claim against her.
So if he is not ultimately confirmed because of these allegations, you may take legal action against the person at the center of that agreement.
Absolutely. If the false claims of somebody that was part of an extortion that was then put out in violation of a settlement agreement ultimately causes him to lose his future employment opportunities, then yes, that is something that is worth bringing a lawsuit against her and her friend and potentially even the attorney for, yes.
I love it. Let's go on offense. Let's not be stepping backwards and being on defense. Let's be on offense. Let's fight. Can we fight? There's a lot of opposition still. The Democrats, like Richard Blumenthal, obviously hates Pete Hegseth, but we have to deal with Republicans too. One senator that comes to mind is Joni Ernst. She is still refusing to confirm Pete Hegseth. Lots of rumors. Why? Maybe she thinks that she can get the job if she tanks the Hegseth pick. We're going to talk about Joni Ernst and go a little bit more in depth when we return. Right now, the news with Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is now 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got a closure I want to tell you about. It's in Woodbury. Jim Cummings Highway between Hindman Lane and Rivendell Road closed due to a crash. And we'll keep you updated on that as the morning goes on. Well, in case the murder of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan, there are new images of the suspect added to the search effort today.
Sources say he arrived in New York November 24th on a bus that originated in Atlanta. Greyhound saying in a statement, "We are fully cooperating with authorities on this active investigation." Police are investigating whether the shooter left the city on a bus after the killing.
That's ABC News senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky. The Springfield Police Department and the FBI are working together on an armed bank robbery that took place yesterday afternoon. They say a black man wearing a light blue sweatshirt and a black face mask was seen on camera entering the Volunteer State Bank, pulling out a gun and demanding money. Police say the sweatshirt had a phrase on it that said, "Sometimes you got to stir up the water." There is a cash reward for information that leads to the arrest of that suspect. Well, yet another bill from Tennessee lawmakers aimed at eliminating the state tax on groceries, which is welcome news to these folks who spoke to Channel 4.
It just seems like it should not cost that much.
Eggs and bread is ridiculous. That is just ridiculous. Hunter, I may as well give me a farm and get my own eggs.
Republican Representative Elaine Davis from Knoxville introducing a bill that would allow individual counties to implement their own sales tax on groceries if approved by their local legislative body. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. I love that one clip where she says, "I might as well get my own farm."
She's great, isn't she?
Based, absolutely based. It's Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and Merry Christmas from the entire family at Busy Bee. They have deals this year that are going to blow your socks off. How about this? A limited number of 14 SEER 1.5 to 3 ton split heat pumps right now for residential unit replacements for only $6,995. That's a deal. And it includes everything: labor, equipment, material, warranty. This system is the perfect balance of coziness for your home and energy efficiency. Or how about this? A $69 mainline camera inspection from Outside Cleanout, or a free package upgrade for air duct cleaning. That one's a steal. You buy a basic air duct cleaning package and they upgrade you to the next level for free. So you buy the medium tier, you get the premium tier. Lastly, you can get a $500 gift card after installation of a Shoal Home main water or drain line replacement, or a whole home water or drain repipe. For satisfaction guaranteed, you know what to do. You call your Rude Pro partner, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Online at busybehvac.com.
and I'm proud of what I fought for. I'm not going to back down from them one bit. I will answer all of these senators' questions, but this will not be a process tried in the media. I don't answer to anyone in this group, none of you, not to that camera at all. I answer to President Trump, who received 76 million votes on behalf and a mandate for change. I answer to the 100 senators who are part of this process and those in the committee, and I answer to my Lord and Savior and my wife and my family. I'm proud to be here. And as long as Donald Trump wants me in this fight, I'm going to be standing right here in this fight, fighting to bring our Pentagon back to what it needs to be.
That's Pete Hegseth not backing down. And to that, I say kudos, sir. Don't withdraw. I think that's what bugged me the most about Matt Gaetz. Like, I wanted him to stand and fight, go through the process. Even if you don't make it, let's just fight. Let's fight everything, tooth and nail. And when Matt Gaetz dropped out, there was blood in the water, and these sharks, they're like, okay, who's next? It's the antelope theory, right? Murphy. They're after the next antelope. It's Hegseth now. Hegseth is not backing down, but he's got a lot of people coming after him. A lot. The Democrats are predictable. Like, Richard Blumenthal was talking crap, and like, yeah, I understand that. I get that. Stolen valor, Richard Blumenthal, who lied about serving in Vietnam. Like, I understand why he doesn't like Pete Hegseth.
A man who has this record of alcohol problems. Sympathetic as I am to people who may have those problems, we don't want them at the top of our national security structure. It is a threat to our national security. This official is the one who's called in the middle of the night, like Secretary Austin was. There's a Chinese balloon going over America. Should we shoot it down?
So there's a lot here that we can break down. You don't want somebody with a drinking problem. Oh, did you see Kamala Harris on the campaign trail? Did you see? You need somebody that you're going to be able to call in the middle of the night, like Lloyd Austin, the guy who disappeared to get surgery and didn't tell anybody. That guy? Oh, because what happens if a Chinese spy balloon flies over the country? Oh, like the one we let fly over the entire country before shooting down? Richard Blumenthal, senator out of Connecticut. Are you kidding? Do you even hear yourself? These people, I can't with these people.
You don't want someone who is impaired or incapacitated in that role. The Department of Defense has 3 million employees, a budget of $850 billion. He's never run anything with more than 10 or 15 people. And every organization that he has run actually has lost money almost every year.
Yeah.
What a slime ball. Like, what? Gaslighting the American people. Lying. What a clown. We don't want somebody impaired. We need somebody that's going to be there. Lloyd Austin disappeared for surgery. We need somebody that's going to be able to handle those threats like a Chinese spy balloon. You let it fly over the entire country. We can't have somebody with a drinking problem. Well, you tried to get Kamala Harris elected to the highest office in the land. What? But I expect that out of the Democrats. I do. I expect that out of the Democrats. It's the Republicans that I have issue with. I don't think Blumenthal is going to vote for Hegseth. But we have Republicans that voted for Lloyd Austin that are fine with not voting for Hegseth. Joni Ernst is still refusing to confirm Pete Hegseth. Refusing. She was on Fox News yesterday. She was asked point blank, will you confirm him?
Okay, it doesn't sound on your answer that you've gotten to a yes. If I'm wrong about that, correct me. And if that is the case, it sounds to me as if the hearing will be critical for his nomination. Am I right about that?
I think you are right. I think for a number of our senators, they want to make sure that any allegations have been cleared, and that's why we have to have a very thorough vetting process. And that's why I was happy to sit down with Pete and have that conversation with him yesterday. So again, all I will say at this time is that we did have a very thorough discussion over a number of those issues, and the vetting will continue, I am certain, through the next month or so until we approach that hearing date.
Well, Joni Ernst, you have made yourself rhino number one. And listen, This is a new Republican Party, and you now have the entire movement of online warriors laser focused at you. And they want you gone. You know, Savannah Hernandez is on the show quite a bit. She's an investigative reporter for Turning Point USA and Frontlines, and she put out a tweet, and it was the best. It was the best. But it sums it up so well. Sav wrote on Twitter, this morning, Iowa Senator Joni Ernst made the horrible mistake of still refusing to confirm support of Pete Hegseth's nomination. Since then, we've discovered she voted to confirm Lloyd Austin for Secretary of Defense. Okay, so the guy that was responsible for the Afghanistan withdrawal, the Chinese spy balloon. He enforced the military vaccine mandate. He made the military a woke LGBTQ joke. This is the same guy that let the Chinese spy balloon fly over the entire country. This is the guy that disappeared for surgery and didn't tell anybody. That's who Joni Ernst voted for Secretary of Defense. She voted to confirm that guy, the guy that would wear the hazmat suits and the plexiglass masks during COVID because he was a bit scared. That guy. We also found out, Sav says, that she supports transgender soldiers in the military, something that Hegseth does not. She votes with Democrats 38% of the time. She called for the U.S. to send more money and weapons to Ukraine and called Zelensky an inspirational leader. And we found out she had an affair with one of her servicemen while deployed, according to her own divorce papers. So now she has the full force of independent media, lawyers, and political commentators on X planning to primary her in 2026. Congratulations, Senator Joni Ernst. Welcome to the new right. Welcome to the new right. We're not putting up with this BS anymore. The mandate from the American people is in. And you went from an obscure senator in Iowa that nobody really knew about to now everybody knows your name. Congratulations, you blew it. And there's a lot of talk that Joni Ernst, oh man, she's getting talked into this by Mitch McConnell. That maybe if she can get rid of Hegseth, Donald Trump would want to pick her for Secretary of Defense. This was on the Benny Johnson podcast yesterday. He had an investigative journalist on laying all of this out.
Sean, speaking the truth is something that you do professionally. And
Sean M. Davis from The Federalist.
And it's made you a lot of the right enemies. And it seems like the rhinos in the Republican Senate are very upset at you calling them out and calling out some of the tactics behind the scenes here. Could you please elucidate for our audience what's really happening with Joni Ernst in this selection?
That's a really good question. And there's a whole bunch of theories. You know, she supported Lloyd Austin, bragged about it. She supported Merrick Garland, bragged about it. These are two of the worst cabinet nominees and federal officials in modern history, maybe even full American history. And yet, out of nowhere, she just gets a bee in her bonnet about Pete Hegseth. And in talking to people on the Hill, people in Congress, in and out of the transition, trying to figure out what's going on, there's actually some dispute about what her motivations may be. I'd say the primary assumption is that she has been convinced by Mitch McConnell, who's actually running this operation against Hegseth on ideological matters, that if she can just knife Hegseth and get rid of him by donning, the uniform and saying she's doing it as a veteran, then maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump will want to pick her.
Yeah, I don't think that that's going to happen. I listen, if that's her plan, best of luck. Best of luck. We don't want Joni Ernst. If you get rid of Hegseth by some stretch, right? And they may. I'm not totally 100% that Hegseth is going to be confirmed, especially given the fact that he's now target number one for the rhinos and the left and the military industrial complex. If for some reason he doesn't get confirmed, there's absolutely no way Joni Ernst is going to be picked. After all of the digging that's been done on Joni Ernst, Joni Ernst cried for Vladimir Zelensky. Cried. This is Joni Ernst.
I think we can all recognize it has been a very emotional day. What I took away is that President Zelensky really is a fearless leader, and he is extremely inspirational to his people and to the rest of the world. But what we heard from the president this morning, President Zelensky, was that they need more help.
Oh, we gotta help. We gotta help Zelensky. We gotta get ourselves into World War III. It's been an emotional day, y'all. This woman thinks that if she can get rid of Hegseth, Trump will pick her. Hegseth wants to remove the woke DEI crap from the military. On the flip side, Senator Joni Ernst, I mean, she loves the transgenders in the military.
So the example of transgender people serving in our military, we have transgender people serving in our military. They will bleed red just as the rest of us. But I also take a stance that we should not be integrating transgender people into certain situations where it does make, if you have a female barracks and you have a transgender woman who has not transitioned, we shouldn't make the rest of the unit uncomfortable about that setting. There are certain accommodations we can make for that transgender individual. But if they bring value to our unit, if they have specialties that we can use, especially if we want to maintain an all-volunteer force, we want to bring that talent into our services. And I know that's controversial, but again, I'm looking at what's good for our nation. And believe me, when we're facing a recruiting challenge right now, if people are physically willing and able to serve our country, we want them to do so.
She doesn't understand that the recruiting issue is built off the back of the woke DEI policies. She doesn't understand that the recruiting issue comes from the last guy that she supported in Lloyd Austin because they enforced those vaccine mandates. She doesn't understand that she would be absolutely part of the problem if she thinks in some wild alternate universe that if she can get rid of Hegseth, she gets the job. Unreal. CNN's got a fresh hit piece on Hegseth, fresh out the oven. I'll bring it to you next. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I do everything from scrubbing cages to asking people for donations to answering the phones and helping facilitate getting animals to the rehab. I'm there on the weekends up there taking care of animals with the team.
You got a great team there. It's a small team, but a great team that works together. And
Well, I started about 20 years ago. My dear friend Carol Burgess founded Harmony in Fairview.
Okay.
And we decided to reopen it in West Nashville. And we are rocking along. Lots of animals. One of the primary calls that we get are, I found a bird, it's on the ground, what do I do? And in most situations, you should let it alone unless there's an imminent danger to that animal, because the parents are helping it and feeding it, and it just needs a couple of scary days on the ground until it gets back up into flight. What about bunnies, Melody? Can we give advice about bunnies?
The bunnies, they're just the sweetest, most innocent creatures, and we just see the worst things happen to them. Cats, dogs, lawnmowers, weed whackers.
In most cases, if the animals aren't injured, if you can put the rabbits back, that's always better to be with the mother rabbit than to come to us.
All the storms that have been coming through and just destroying nests, and a lot of babies will be found on the ground. Re-nesting is possible and preferable.
You play the video calls and you put the baby near where they found it, and the mama will actually come down and pick it up and then bring it back.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Why TikTok users may want to get used to life without their favorite app. And President-elect Trump is not staying silent on his support for Pete Hegseth. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:58 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. Joni Ernst. Joni, what are you doing? Got a text here from 4209. Iowa needs Super Talk. Yeah, I think so. I think Iowa needs to remind Joni Ernst how much Trump won Iowa by. What is the deal with that lady? She wants the gig. That's what the deal is. She's backed by the military-industrial complex. That's what the deal is. She doesn't want a guy that wants to push for peace. She wants war. There's more money in it. CNN still has the knives out for Pete Hegseth, pushing out a fresh new hit piece. Brian Stelter had this one. He said, "Oh, man, I was writing my book a few years ago, and I came across these notes that didn't make it in the book that just seem so relevant now. And I got all these notes about allegations of alcohol abuse from Pete Hegseth." The hit pieces just keep coming. Unsubstantiated claims. I saw one where it was Hegseth was hosting a podcast, and they were like, "Oh, he's drinking on the job," and he's sitting at like a round table with some vets, and they have a couple glasses of whiskey out. It's like, do you not understand vibes? Like, do you not get what they're going for there? It's just so silly. It's laughable. Luckily, Hegseth is going to fight. Thank you. We need him to fight. Kash Patel would be ready to fight. Senator John Cornyn says Patel's got the votes. I'll bring that to you next. Plus, 10:35, Susan Crabtree is going to call in. She's going to give us the breakdown on what happened yesterday with Secret Service Director Rowe and the heated exchange between him and Representative Pat Fallon at a hearing. And I'll play you that too coming up. It is something special. It's 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, hello there. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 27 degrees and fair skies. We'll add another 10 as we get into this afternoon. We've got the full forecast in 2 minutes. Just in, a federal appeals court has sided with the Justice Department, upholding a law that bans TikTok in the U.S. if the video sharing app is not sold by January 19th. TikTok currently is owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance. Lawmakers received classified briefings from the intelligence community about China's ability to use TikTok to spy on Americans and spread Chinese propaganda. We've got new details in the search for the gunman who shot and killed the CEO of a major insurance company. Police have not revealed a motive for the shooting, but some of the experts believe evidence points to a grudge against United Health or the insurance industry. Former FBI special agent and ABC News contributor Brad Garrett said that the weapon used was unique. There are not a lot of them out there.
It may be much easier to trace that weapon and who purchased it, presuming that the shooter is the one who actually purchased the weapon.
NBC News reporting investigators believe the killer hopped on a Greyhound bus in Atlanta and arrived in New York City in November. He stayed at a hostel the night before the killing. A Nashville man has been arrested for making threats of mass violence against a local church. 26-year-old Corey Gamble reportedly sent the messages through Instagram to a friend. Gamble's being held on $5,000 bond. President-elect Trump releasing a statement just this morning, standing by his Secretary of Defense pick, Pete Hegseth, calling him a winner. Trump said his support is strong and deep and much more so than the fake news would have you believe. Meantime, legacy media, including ABC News, insist Republican women are not so sure.
His attorney says Pete Hegseth will submit to an FBI background check, that the forms are now being filled out. So far, 2 of the 9 Republican women in the Senate say they back his bid. But Iowa's Joni Ernst says she's not on board yet. The combat veteran and sexual assault survivor says Hegseth's confirmation hearing will be critical to his bid to lead the Pentagon.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. The October jobs report is in. Payrolls were reportedly up by 227,000 in November. That was more than expected. The unemployment rate rose a bit to 4.2%. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stocks are trading just a bit higher. The Dow futures make that the Dow is currently up. Let's see, 58 points. The NASDAQ is gaining 134. S&P 500 index up by 21. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed
This
offer.
hour of the show brought to you by Better Water LLC. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. You want to join the show, be a part of the conversation, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. That's the same for texting, same for calling. Trucker John is on the road. He wants to talk about Pete Hegseth. What's up, John? How we doing, man?
Oh, Chris, it is so nice to be able to talk to you again. It's been forever. They switch around my schedule. I don't get to listen to my guys anymore. I'm stuck at night listening to Red Eye Radio, and you know, it's nice every now and again. Dan fills in, and I get to listen to him. But I really miss you.
Well, we miss you too, Trucker John. But don't forget, man, you can always listen to the show on the podcast. You can catch it after the fact. We're always posting podcasts.
I know, but it's just it's not the same as getting to be able to talk to you.
I hear you. What's up, man? What do you think about Pete?
Hey, listen, I was doing trucker stuff, so I missed the first half of it, but I caught some audio that you were playing. Somebody made the comment: Is Pete really the guy that you want to call at 12 a.m. to let him know that there's a Chinese balloon flying?
It was Richard Blumenthal, the Democrat senator out of Connecticut, and Richard Blumenthal, the guy who dodged service in Vietnam. That guy.
Yeah, what an idiot! That's probably the worst analogy he could have made, because that's the one guy I want getting that call at midnight.
Right. Also, They let the balloon go over the entire country, and the guy that did that also disappeared from his job to go have surgery and not tell anyone.
Yeah, unbelievable. You know, Pete's answer to that call at 12 a.m. in the morning is, why are you calling me now? Why didn't you call me after you shot it down?
Right?
Listen, real quick question. And I'm almost afraid to ask because I'm going to get that not a fan response. But did you ever see the movie War Games?
I have not seen the movie War Games.
All right. Well, there's towards the end of the movie, they're trying to figure out how to get this war game computer shut off, and nobody else can figure out. They turn to one of the generals, and the general says, "I would piss on the spark plug if I thought it would help." That's Pete. I want that guy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, I appreciate the call. I'm glad you got to listen today, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to Rick in Columbia. What do you want to talk about, Rick?
Good morning, Chris. Concerning my fellow senior citizen in Florida shooting at the drone.
Yes, we played a clip earlier. There's a 72-year-old guy in Florida who had a Walmart delivery drone hovering over his property. So he shot at it, and then he got arrested for it.
Well, should you become aware of a GoFundMe deal for his legal fees, please share it with us. I'd like to contribute to that.
Oh, man, they should start a GoFundMe for that guy because he's an absolute legend. I'm with you. I bet you somebody's going to start one.
And one more thing. I agree with you, although it was hilarious when he shouted out, "I can't breathe," while being handcuffed. I'm afraid he may have doomed himself in court.
Yeah, you're right. I appreciate the call, Rick. Hey, thanks so much, man. I appreciate you. I'm getting roasted on the super text line for not having seen War Games. Do you see these texts coming in?
I see them.
Fast and Furious. Let's listen. Full disclosure: War Games came out in 1983, and I was born in 1988. Okay.
Yeah, catch up, Chris. Come on.
Can I get a little bit of grace? Can I get a little bit of grace?
You have 4 years.
What are you doing? You're an idiot.
Come on.
How have you not seen? I was -5 when it came out.
That's plenty of time.
So Pete Hegseth is up against the left and the rhinos. It's really the uniparty that doesn't like Pete Hegseth, and color me shocked. I'm so surprised that the uniparty doesn't want a guy that wants peace. I'm downright stunned. North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer, who was skeptical of Hegseth before, now says he does support him.
Well, I thought it was a great meeting. It was productive. It was frank. It was maybe even a little uncomfortable at moments, but we're all adults, and I was very pleased. I asked a lot of tough questions. He had all the right answers. And more importantly, I believed him. You know, a lot of people are trained to give good answers, but you don't always believe him. I believed Pete, looking him eyeball to eyeball, talking to his wife a little bit. But also, you know, in preparation for that and since, I've looked at a lot of the allegations and who the allegations are coming from, and more importantly, the lack of names associated with these allegations and faces. And I'm just more convinced that this has been more of a smear campaign with a lot of exaggeration. And Pete and I may have some disagreements on a policy issue or two, but by and large, I like him a lot. I like what he brings to the fight, and it is a fight. I'm glad that he's hanging in there and that the president wants him to hang in there, because I think some things are worth fighting for. And this is obviously Department of Defense and Secretary of Defense is a very, very important position in any administration, but particularly at a time when the world is on fire, American leadership is in high demand.
Yeah.
And I think Pete's the kind of leader we need.
I mean, I like to hear that. North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer right there. He was skeptical of Hegseth. He got one over. And a lot of people are saying, you know, listen, Hegseth is he's gonna get it. He's gonna do great. Scott Jennings was talking about Pete Hegseth last night, and he said what we're all thinking. It just, with all these anonymous sources, this is Kavanaugh-esque.
What's the standard? When you said voluminous, what would you say? I have a plethora of pinatas? Well, I mean, look, a lot of Republicans right now, some of this is starting to feel a little bit like the Kavanaugh confirmation hearing, where you have a lot of anonymous, a lot of innuendo, a lot of people using words like voluminous, and people, you know, sort of piling on here without really any substantive, on-the-record stuff to back it up. So what I would recommend is that he continue to fight for his own reputation, that we get to a hearing and we put everybody under oath, and then we see where the chips fall. He's got two fights. One is reputational. One is also, can you do the job? And so he's fighting a two-front battle in the Senate, and that's a real thing, and he needs to cross those lines.
Yeah, and he's going to keep fighting. He's going to keep fighting. You know, Joni Ernst is out there. She thinks she can get the gig. President Trump is out there saying, no, keep fighting. And we got a lot of senators that oppose Pete Hegseth, but they all seem to have in common Boeing and Lockheed Martin being some of their biggest donors. Weird. What a coincidence. Weird. Who could have seen that coming? You know, a guy that wants peace. Weird. Will Hegseth get confirmed? I mean, only time will tell. Only time will tell. Kash Patel, on the other hand, is FBI Director. Senator John Cornyn says he definitely has the votes to get confirmed by the Senate. And I like hearing that because I think Kash Patel is striking fear into the heart of the deep state.
First of all, will Kash Patel be confirmed, as I expect he will be, but you're the guy who knows. What do you think?
Yes, he will be. People I have great respect for, people like Trey Gowdy, have recommended him highly. I'm still looking to schedule a meeting with Kash, but I think, certainly has vast experience, including working on the House Intelligence Committee on the Russiagate scam and the Steele dossier scandal. So look forward to meeting with him. I met with Pam Bondi the next.
So he's going to meet with Kash Patel, Senator John Cornyn says, but he says, listen, he has enough votes to be confirmed. Love that. Don't you love that? Here's the thing. Kash Patel makes them so nervous. I mean, downright freaking out. This is when they say, we need to pardon everybody. I say that's a direct result of Kash Patel. And they keep saying Biden needs to pardon everybody. This is on MSNBC yesterday.
Grant of clemency. I hope that President Biden will also issue preemptive pardons to all of those people threatened by the injustice of what will become the Department of Justice in the Trump administration. That, of course, includes Jack Smith and all of his staff, many Department of Justice lawyers. It includes President Biden himself, although we don't know that anyone can legally pardon themselves. He will need a pardon because he is going to be harassed and charged for no crimes whatsoever. Donald Trump has promised that.
No crimes whatsoever. You see how they're trying to get out in front of this? No crimes whatsoever. Everybody needs a pardon. Everybody needs a pardon because, you see what's happening? Do you see? Oh, Kash Patel. Kash Patel, it's so scary. Kash Patel knows where the bodies are buried. Plain and simple. And it freaks some people out. It freaks some people out. This is also on MSNBC. Michelle Goldberg talking about Kash Patel and his enemies list.
And I think that there's I shouldn't say easy, but there's a way to do this, I think, that would make the narrative clear-cut for the American people. It's not ideal to have an incoming potential head of the FBI, Kash Patel, who has published enemies lists. But one advantage of that is that he wrote a book. He has an enemies list in it. So we know exactly who he has threatened to go after without cause. Just pardon everyone on it. Pardon everyone on it. Give a speech. Say, and this is one reason I wish that the president was a better communicator, but give a speech and say, I wasn't able to save the country from Donald Trump, but this is what they've threatened to do. I think we should take them seriously.
Pardon everyone, please. Please pardon everyone. Kash Patel wrote a book. He's got an enemies list in it. We need to pardon everybody. Pardon everybody. Joe Biden needs to get on TV. So we couldn't save the country from Donald Trump. Oh, no. Oh, no. So I have to give blanket pardons to everyone. All of the evil, corrupt individuals in our government. Oy.
I mean, and I think it's important to do that also just to give the American people, at least those that can be reached by the president, some framework for what's coming and saying, I don't know what crimes, because these people have not committed crimes.
Fact check that one, please.
I'm giving them blanket pardons.
Because they haven't committed any crimes. I'm going to blanket pardon them completely because obviously they haven't committed any crimes.
Because the list of potential, kind of false the list of potential investigations is kind of boundless. But
because the Democrats are involved in a lot of slimy things. The list of investigations, it's long. And having a guy like Kash Patel heading up the FBI scares him. He knows about Russiagate. He knows about the spying on the incoming president, Donald J. Trump. He knows about it all. He knows where the bodies are buried. And it freaks him out.
again, I think you can just keep going back to they have published an enemies list. They've made it very clear exactly who they want to go after. If you look at the enemies list, the absurdity of going after some of these figures like Cassidy Hutchinson should be pretty clear. Just pardon all of them.
Pardon everyone, please. Pardon everyone because they didn't commit any crimes. Pardon everyone. Okay. You know, it's funny. They're in an absolute panic. Donald Trump, on the other hand, I mean, he is as calm, cool, and confident as ever. Did you see him last night on the Patriot Awards at Fox News? I didn't watch it live. I caught some clips, but hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. He talked about how he threatened Canada with tariffs.
With Canada, and Justin came flying right in because we talked about 25% tariffs. That's just the beginner. He's a hell of a nice crowd. I like this guy. This is a nice crowd. A lot of people thought we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get your prices down. And we're bringing the cost down. You know, when we were campaigning, a lot of people thought the biggest thing was the economy, and it is. It probably polled the best, but I never believed it was as important as immigration and the border and stopping our country from being invaded, because this was a massive invasion of our country.
I love that this guy won, and we're already seeing positive effects from Donald Trump winning. He's already working. You got to love that. The man is already working for this country. And you know what? We have to just once again say thank you, Lord, for saving him from being assassinated. We dodged a massive bullet. We are so incredibly lucky that he wasn't taken out in Butler, Pennsylvania. So incredibly lucky. The Secret Service failed him that day. The Secret Service almost failed the country that day. And today would look very different had he not turned his head. Very, very different. And the Secret Service director was asked about that. And he got a little pissy yesterday. A little is a bit of an understatement. Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe really got into it with Representative Pat Fallon. He was accused of endangering lives for a photo op at the 9/11 memorial. Do you remember that when it was Trump, Vance, Biden, Harris? They were all, I think Obama was there too. There's a big photo, and apparently he moved some people out of the way so that way he could be featured in the photo. And he was asked about it. And Ronald Rowe got mad, got into a shouting match with Pat Fallon out of Texas. The hearing was for the task force over the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. And as soon as Rowe got accused of endangering Biden's life and Trump's life and Harris's life for a photo op, all hell broke loose. I'll play you what happened next. And then at 10:35, we're going to be talking to Susan Crabtree from Real Clear Politics. She is the best reporter in the country when it comes to happenings with the Secret Service. So I'm looking forward to her insight as well. That's happening on the way. I'll bring you the clip from Ronald Rowe freaking out next. It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand. I got to tell you about my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. These guys are good, hardworking, honest guys. And when they come to your home, you're getting a professional, not a sales guy, not somebody worried about a quota, not somebody trying to upsell you on the next best thing, but somebody that's going to tell you, listen, this is nothing, or this is something that needs to be fixed immediately. They'll tell you no matter what because they're honest. This is how they've been in business since 1994 in Middle Tennessee. This is how they've achieved 25,000 satisfied customers. Well, what do? Well, if you got cracks in your foundation, that could be a big issue. These guys are your experts in foundation repair. You're getting water in your basement or your crawl space. These guys are your experts in waterproofing your home. They can encapsulate your entire crawl space. All you need to do is walk around your house and look for red flags. Are you seeing the cracks in your foundation? Are you noticing standing water in your crawl space or wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors? That's your house trying to tell you something. Call USS. They'll come to your home and they'll take a look. They won't leave until the job is done. And when they do leave, you're going to be completely satisfied. And they're going to leave behind a warranty that is good for life. Even if you leave the home, the warranty can stay. 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems. 615-488-7855. USSTN.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Up ahead, Pete Hegseth is doing the math. Is he getting the votes he needs to get confirmed? Also, Elon and Vivek are laying out their plans to cut government waste. We've got those stories at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 1026 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe got into a shouting match yesterday with Pat Fallon, Republican out of Texas. They were at a congressional hearing for the task force over the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Fallon accused Rowe of endangering a lot of lives for a photo op. And the exchange got heated. So during the hearing, Fallon brought up a photo. It displayed Rowe at Ground Zero on 9/11 at the memorial service this past year. And he's really close to Joe Biden, like right behind him. And Fallon said it appeared as though there was not a protective agent in the photo next to Biden. And then he asked the acting U.S. Secret Service director, who is usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States? And it really went downhill fast.
So I got another question for you. Do you recognize this photo?
And he shows a photo, and Rowe is circled, and he's standing like directly behind Biden.
Yes, sir, I do. Okay. Was that the remembrance of September 11th?
It was.
Was it in New York?
It was at Ground Zero.
Okay. Who is usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States, security-wise?
The SAC of the detail.
Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day?
Actually, let me address this. Could you please, staff, leave that? Oh, no, leave that one up with the circle around me. Thank you. So actually, Congressman, what you're not seeing is the SAC of the detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11.
So at this point, Roe is going to accuse Representative Pat Fallon of using 9/11 for political purposes, where he's deflecting from the question by using 9/11 for political purposes. Ready?
I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm. Explain how that is relevant to the question at hand.
I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you,
Congressman.
Were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect
You were not.
for a Secret Service member that died on 9/11.
Oh, that you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
And you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question. Please.
You are out of line,
Congressman. Don't try to bully me.
He said, don't use 9/11 for political purposes. Immediately after using 9/11 for political purposes, the gaslighting. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I am an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are playing
politics. I am a public servant who has served this nation, and
you won't answer the question.
On our country's darkest day.
Committee will come to order.
I thought the darkest day was January 6th now. Is it? It's still 9/11? I think it depends on which representative you ask. Which unelected bureaucrat is in the seat that day?
Committee will come to order. I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that day?
No, I wasn't. I was there representing the United States Secret Service, sir.
Mr. Fallon, your time's
expired. It did not affect protective operations.
You know why you were there? Because you wanted to be visible, because you are auditioning for this job.
I was there to pay respect for a fallen member of this agency.
I love that. You know why you were there? Because you wanted to be visible for a job that you're not going to get come January 20th. All right, so we're going to zoom out. Susan Crabtree is going to be joining the show at 10:35. She is the premier reporter for all things Secret Service. She's with Real Clear Politics, and she's going to break down exactly what happened at that hearing yesterday, what that exchange we just listened to evolved from and devolved into, plus everything else that happened that didn't catch the internet's attention at that hearing yesterday. That'll happen next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Breaking news right this very moment. Jurors on the Daniel Penny chokehold trial returned to deliberations for just an hour this morning before they told the judge that they're not able to come to agreement on the top charge. That was manslaughter in the case of that 26-year-old Marine veteran who had put a chokehold on a guy in the subway in New York City who was threatening other commuters. Again, the jurors say that they can't come to an agreement on the top charge, and it's putting the entire trial in jeopardy right now. We'll bring you more as it continues to unfold during the day. Pete Hegseth spent that day on Capitol Hill yesterday meeting with senators to shore up support for his nomination as the head of the Department of Defense. Hegseth's team have reportedly told Donald Trump they think Hegseth may prevail because they haven't found 3 Republicans so far who are no votes in the Senate. But ABC's Catherine Falder says she has done the math as well, and she comes up with a different answer.
There are 9 women Republican senators serving in the Senate. Through my reporting, I know that those senators are the ones that Donald Trump's orbit are the most worried about. Now, remember, he can only afford to lose about 3 senators. ABC caught up yesterday with all 9 of these women, and only 2 of them have publicly said that they would support Hegseth.
And Tennessee's Marsha Blackburn is one of the 2 that have said she will support him. President Trump out with a statement this morning calling Hegseth a winner. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy traveling to Capitol Hill yesterday as well. They gave a preview to some in Congress about their plans. Here's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio.
Lawmakers reportedly discussing a variety of cuts targeting the Education Department, redundancy in the government workforce, and government employees working from home. The department Musk and Ramaswamy will lead will not be a true government department. It will only provide recommendations for the administration and Congress, which has the power of the purse.
Reports say that Musk and Ramaswamy told lawmakers they are keeping a naughty and nice list of those who join the budget slashing proposals and those who don't. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Were you the special agent in charge that day?
No, I wasn't. I was there representing the United States Secret Service, sir.
Mr. Fallon, your time's
did not
expired.
affect protective operations.
You know why you were there?
Expired.
Because you wanted to be visible, because you were auditioning for this
I was
job
there to
that
pay
you're not
respect for
gonna
a
get
fallen
till
member of
January
this
20th.
agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of
Biden's
line,
life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Did you have a
Chairman.
radio with
Mr.
you?
Fallon,
Did
your
you wear a
time
vest?
has
Did you have a
expired.
weapon?
Mr.
No.
I did, sir, and you are out of line.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
I think that's my favorite part, the Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman. What you heard was Representative Pat Fallon during a congressional hearing for the task force over the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, going at acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe, a shouting match. Fallon accusing Rowe of endangering President Biden's life, Vice President Harris's life, for a photo op. Joining us now on the Newsmaker Hotline is Susan Crabtree. She's the Real Clear Politics national political correspondent. She is my go-to for anything to do with the Secret Service. Extremely bright. And she has a new book that you can pre-order today called Fool's Gold, The Radicals, Con Artists, and Traitors Who Killed the California Dream and Now Threaten Us All. Susan, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, thank you for joining the show. So I think my first question would be kind of zoom out and give us a breakdown on what happened yesterday during that congressional hearing for the task force over the attempted assassination of Donald Trump.
Well, from all the reporting I've been doing since the assassination attempt, I feel like this is Ron Rowe's defining moment. Sources within the Secret Service, they don't have a lot of respect for Ron Rowe. They blame him as part of the problem because he was the former Secret Service Director, Kim Cheadle's hand-picked right-hand man, and they were responsible, this leadership was responsible for denying the security assets that Donald Trump's detail, his team that surrounds him on any given day for the last 3 years, have been asking repeatedly over the course of the campaign and even before for both Mar-a-Lago and the rallies, and they were denied because he was a former president. So there is a lot of resentment over this photo op, and I had actually heard about it several months ago during the deluge of information I was getting after the first and second assassination attempts. So this was September 11th, right before the second assassination attempt that there was that weekend.
Yeah.
So this is telling moment for Ron Rowe. It's all he had to do, because he's not likely to be named the director after his record and the Secret Service's record under his leadership. So all he had to do was go out there and maintain composure and answer the questions calmly, and then he could go on to a nice private security job, as many of the top officials do, and even senior special agents do after they retire. But I don't know if I would be pleased with myself if I were Ron Rowe about the reputation damage he did yesterday.
So you think that this is going to hurt his future employment opportunities, that outburst?
Oh, I unless it's a completely partisan company and Jill Biden gets involved, as she did with Kimberly Cheadle's job to PepsiCo. She got Kimberly Cheadle, the former Secret Service director, her job at Pepsi before she became, when she was leaving the Secret Service, retired, and then he brought her back to be the Secret Service director. And there is so much left to report on this story about the corruption and the retribution that went on against real whistleblowers complaining that there was no drone program. I've scratched the surface of it, but believe me, there's more to come. And Ron Rowe is under intense pressure, and he has been. But to go to that level of, I don't think I've witnessed a screaming match quite like that in 30 years of covering Washington, D.C.
No, it was something special. Now, to my untrained eye, when that photo came out, I didn't see anything wrong with it. How bad of a failure was that for Ron Rowe?
Well, you can come. I wrote a second day story, and I feel like the headline is, "Did the Secret Service chief perjure himself in that hearing?" I've talked to eyewitnesses that were there at the event on 9/11 this year, and they said there were toe marks for each spot, and they were following protocol to put the marks to place the people in charge of the detail for President Biden and President Harris as close to them as possible, right behind them. And Ron Rowe just disregarded the toe marks, but they had their names on them. His was three rows back.
Really?
So he was supposed to be 3 rows back. And also that his wife, who was a Secret Service employee, was the official photographer for that event and was taking photos of him in his prominent position when he disregarded the original plans and protocol of placing these agents that have their earpieces in, have the guns at the ready, are getting the intelligence, are getting any known threats, and the movements are all coordinated. They have their earpieces in, they have their radios, and they have ballistic vests on. I asked the Secret Service press office yesterday. They answered my first questions about what he was doing after 9/11, the actual attack on the World Trade Center in D.C. And they answered those questions, but I asked a follow-up about whether he indeed had an earpiece, radio, and a gun. He did say he had a radio and gun. In that hearing, he did answer yes when Pat Phelan questioned him about that. And they chose not to answer that particular question.
Huh. Shocker. Now, the exchange that's gaining all the attention is Pat Phelan. But our own rep, Mark Green from Tennessee, he got into it with Ronald Rowe as well. Can you explain to me their exchange a little bit?
Yes, I noted that in my story. I felt like the hearing was very softball until Mark Green and then Pat Phelan. They're being very deferential to Ron Rowe, and that was bizarre to me because all my sources that blame him for the decisions to deny Trump the security assets, which created the opening for the assassination attempt in the first place. So basically, you promoted someone who was responsible for creating the opening for the assassination attempt. So when Mark Green was testifying and was able to had his time for questioning, he was furious, and he was saying that there was a command culture problem in the Secret Service, describing his time as a doctor in the Army, and that he had worked with these elite special forces groups, 82nd Airborne, 182nd Airborne, and he was very concerned at the time that he was up to snuff to be with that type of elite force. And that was what was on his mind. He said he was using expletives, which I understand because it is so frustrating to see Ron Rowe say, everything's fine now. In 2 months, we completely reformed the Secret Service. He was saying that the people that showed up at Butler that day were complacent and lackadaisical. That's the word he used. And he also said, used an expletive and didn't care enough. And you can imagine what he said. So basically, he was furious, and Ron Rowe kind of answered it in a vague way that he said, we're reimagining the Secret Service and we're reforming it, and we are trying to develop leadership more than just letting people go through the motions and then get a GS-15 and get into the leadership if they haven't proven themselves over time.
Insanity.
Yeah, and he said nothing about the DEI, though. That did not get brought up yesterday, which I think is one of the biggest concerns in the secret and the lowering of hiring standards.
Yeah, that's a huge concern. Huge concern. Was there anything that you learned from yesterday's hearing that surprised you?
No, except for I did know about that photo op, him bigfooting and breaking protocol, but I was glad I didn't report on it because it was part of a deluge of information I was receiving at the time, back in September. So I was glad to see that, and I was glad to see that it sort of broke into, you got an awareness of how Ron Rowe deals with his leadership style and the fact that he has a temper. And after that, I've heard that from people, but but after that incident yesterday, basically an outburst, people came forward to tell me that that's how he deals with people on a day-to-day basis at the Secret Service.
It would be a joy. Would be a joy to work for somebody like that, right?
I mean, it was. I mean, if he thinks that's a controversial question, he needs to. He obviously hasn't had to be held to account like so many directors and secretaries of large agencies have had. They have a $3.1 billion budget in the Secret Service, and now they're asking for more money. They've already gotten a supplemental appropriations from Congress this year of 200-something million. So the fact that would upset him so quickly is just telling to me about who he really is, what his leadership and temperament are like.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think one of the things that frustrates me the most about the hearing, though, is that this is what's capturing headlines, and it still doesn't seem like we know much about Thomas Matthew Crooks at all. Was there any new information on Thomas Matthew Crooks yesterday, or any information on motive or anything, any of the questions that we want answered yesterday?
No, and on the Crooks question, that's a question for the FBI, because they're the ones looking into his background, and they are not being forthcoming about these encrypted apps that Thomas Crooks used that were foreign. If people in the United States usually use Signal or WhatsApp, these foreign apps, they won't even tell us what the names of the foreign apps, what companies he was using. So it's been a black box in terms of who Thomas Crooks is and why was his social media non-existent. But, I think it begs the question, and I hope that if Kash Patel gets in there and whoever is leading the FBI in the future, we can get to the bottom of that, because I don't buy that we don't know more information about him. I don't buy that he had no social media presence.
You stole my follow-up question. I was going to say, do you think Kash Patel could fix that? I do. All right, perfect. Well, I'll skip to the next question then. Have you heard rumors of Dan Bongino as U.S. Secret Service Director?
Yes, but he did on X take his name out of the running in two posts about a week and a half ago, and he said he was better on the outside, and he said politics is a dirty business. So
if you were making a dream pick, who would you want to be in charge of the agency?
Oh, I have. Okay, so everyone's controversial. You please no one when you go down this road.
Perfect. This is exactly the kind of answer I like.
So there is a Don Armas is a Marine general, and he served in the Secret Service for 11 years, I believe, several years. And he then went to the Marines because he thought the Secret Service had a corrupt culture. And he was a hero on 9/11. He actually was the one who ran into the buildings. There's a video of him. Actually, Dan Bongino had him on his Fox show on 1 year, and I posted about it. He seems like the type of upstanding individual who is the training in the Marines, the no-nonsense training that could really change things. There's also other people that are former Secret Service members that I believe have the integrity and have shown themselves to. You kind of need someone who has been in the Secret Service and has contacts to know where the bad apples are and landmines. So, but I also think that there's a dark horse that Eric Prince could be a dark horse candidate, because I know he has Don Jr.'s ear, and he testified on a panel with members of Congress after a panel I appeared upon at the Heritage Foundation in August. And he was highly critical, and he has also been in recent media interviews, including on Maria Bartoloma, saying that they need to supplement the Secret Service with maybe special forces units.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's controversial, obviously, and so Eric Prince's pick would be extremely controversial, but because he had his history of problems with killing civilians in Iraq. but Donald Trump pardoned those individuals that were found guilty of wrongdoing his employees. And so that shows you what type of relationship he has with Eric Prince. And Eric Prince never failed to protect. He never lost a protectee. He's never lost a protectee ever in Iraq or otherwise.
Hey, well, I would be fine with that. I think anything would be an upgrade from Ronald Rowe. Let's be perfectly honest. Susan Crabtree from Real Clear Politics. Where can we keep up with you and find your latest reporting?
Thank you so much for asking. I'm at x.com at Susan Crabtree and at realclearpolitics.com. If you go to the writers and click on the writers on the top of the website, it'll have my name. You click on that, has every single story I've done for Real Clear Politics in 4 or 5 years.
Perfect. We'll definitely go there to find your reporting. And you got a new book out. In Tennessee, we have a lot of California transplants, and I think that this book would be a perfect gift for a California transplant. Tell me about Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold, thank you so much for asking. It's coming out in March, and I spent a year and a half investigating all of the failures, and I was astounded. I live in California now. I was astounded by just the crony corruption in Sacramento and in San Francisco and the history that Gavin Newsom has, his ineffectiveness on homelessness, on his attacks on the way he got his Getty money. There's a lot of, he's not a self-made man. We delve into, it's a deep, deep dive into all these things, but also how Gavin Newsom sold the state out to China. As I did, my co-author works for Peter Schweitzer's nonprofit, the Government Accountability Institute. And so there's a lot of information about that's their specialty, and they broke a lot of news on Hunter Biden's exploits in China and corrupt dealings. And we have the same kind of thing going on in California. Governor Newsom sold out the state, especially when having to do with the solar business and the EV business.
Well, looking forward to the book. We can pre-order it today. You go find Susan Crabtree on X at Susan Crabtree. Thank you for joining the show as always. And if you need to get out of California, Tennessee is a much, much better state. I promise.
I heard that. It's very tempting. Thank you so much for having me, Chris.
Anytime. Thank you, Susan. It's 10:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I do everything from scrubbing cages to asking people for donations to answering the phones and helping facilitate getting animals to the rehab. I'm there on the weekends, up there taking care of animals with the team.
You got a great team there. It's a small team, but a great team that works together. And
Well, I started about 20 years ago. My dear friend Carol Burgess founded Harmony in Fairview.
Okay.
And we decided to reopen it in West Nashville. And we are rocking along. Lots of animals. One of the primary calls that we get are, I found a bird, it's on the ground, what do I do? And in most situations, you should let it alone unless there's an imminent danger to that animal, because the parents are helping it and feeding it, and it just needs a couple of scary days on the ground until it gets back up into flight. What about bunnies, Melody? Can we give advice about bunnies?
The bunnies, they're just the sweetest, most innocent creatures, and we just see the worst things happen to them. Cats, dogs, lawnmowers, weed whackers.
In most cases, if the animals aren't injured, if you can put the rabbits back, that's always better to be with the mother rabbit than to come to us.
All the storms that have been coming through and just destroying nests, and a lot of babies will be found on the ground. Re-nesting is possible and preferable.
You play the video calls and you put the baby near where they found it, and the mama will actually come down and pick it up and then bring it back.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Right now, I got a couple of traffic problems I need to tell you about. This one is north of downtown, and if you are trying to get downtown, it's going to impact your commute. The second right lane is blocked, 65 southbound. This is right before I-24 downtown. And then looking out east of town, I'm seeing some police activity. This is impacting I-40 westbound in Wilson County, right there at the Highway 171 interchange. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. TikTok running out of time after another loss in a D.C.-based federal appeals court. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
The three-judge panel shrugs off concerns expressed by China-based ByteDance of the impracticality of a sale on short notice and the effects of a ban on users. The judges instead defer to national security fears expressed by the White House and Congress, saying China is engaged in an extensive effort to gather Americans' data. If active steps aren't taken to sell the app by January 19th, the court says tens of millions of devoted TikTok users will have to find alternative media of communication.
Yeah, if ByteDance doesn't take steps to sell the app by January 19th, Looks like it'll be effectively unavailable in the U.S. They have a full face photo, fingerprints, and they've tracked his movements. Police may already know the ID of the man who shot and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Here's former NYPD Lieutenant Darren Porcher on Fox Business Channel this morning.
Although he's not in custody now, they clearly know who this suspect is. As you mentioned earlier, they've established a fingerprint from several different sources, and in that same residence that he was staying in, the hostel, there were 2 additional residents that were staying in the same room.
And police know who they are, too. And we're learning this morning CVS has pulled the photos of its executives off the company website as the manhunt continues. Fox News reporting United Healthcare's leadership page has also been taken down. The move comes as the healthcare industry is now on high alert. Meantime, insurance company Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield walking back a new policy that earned them a lot of negative attention.
Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is backing down after an uproar over its plan to limit coverage for anesthesia. The policy change called for the insurer to predetermine the time allowed for anesthesia care during a surgery or procedure and cover care only during that time. The policy change was set to take effect in 3 states, Missouri, New York, and Connecticut.
That's Rhiannon Alley. Anthem blamed the change on what it calls misinformation. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, 1108. The show is sponsored by our friends at Better Water LLC. Thank you to those guys. If they're sponsoring my show, you know they're unafraid, and you should spend money with people that aren't afraid, like Better Water LLC. Please do. If you need a water filter for your home or business, Better Water LLC. We've been talking a lot today about Pete Hegseth, and then we started talking about Kash Patel, and people are mad, and they're also mad about Tulsi. They're mad about everything. They're mad. I love it. Big mad. Jack Posobiec said, DC source texts me this about Pete. This is 6 minutes ago. And he posts a screenshot of the text. Says, funny story. One of my sources inside the Pentagon told me they panicked and rushing to get a few key officers retired quickly by this month so that Pete couldn't fire them or take a star away from them, including VADM French, Navy JAG, and Millie's SJA. Then they totally relaxed and started preparing for DeSantis. This morning, they're in a full-blown panic once again. I mean, yeah, I would imagine so. You know, Donald Trump has come out and said, no, I'm with Pete. It did seem like a lot of people were pushing DeSantis. I know DeSantis is going to the Army-Navy football game with Trump. That's been reported a couple places. I don't think DeSantis is going to get that gig. I'm not sure if Pete's going to get the gig. I know it's not going to be Joni Ernst. I'll tell you that much. What a clown she is. They're not just mad about Pete Hegseth. They're also really mad about Tulsi Gabbard. Holden Culotta on X just posted this, and it's a quote from an NBC story. Nearly 100 ex-national security officials just sent a letter to John Thune and Chuck Schumer expressing alarm with Tulsi Gabbard as Trump's DNI pick. Do the lists of former officials do anything anymore? I mean, wasn't there a list of 51 former intelligence experts saying that the Russian laptop was disinformation? Wasn't there a list of economists who said Trump was going to trash the economy? Isn't there a list of health experts somewhere who say RFK is going to destroy health? The list actually just makes me... Anytime you get a list of ex-officials, I feel like that's just a cosign. That's more than an endorsement than anything else. But 100 ex-national security officials sent a letter, strongly worded, I'm sure, to John Thune and Chuck Schumer expressing alarm with Tulsi Gabbard as Trump's DNI pick. And get this, they want closed-door hearings to review government files on Tulsi with lawmakers. Oh, you want it done in the dark. Weird. Color me shocked. You don't want transparency. Huh. Interesting.
I like how it's always a well-rounded number of so-called experts that have signed on these letters. Like, it's always an even number.
Nearly 100. Nearly. What are we talking about? 93, 97? Nearly.
Or either that, or it is exactly 100.
Well, you know, sources familiar with their thinking, Mr. Weaver. Well, and the letter was obtained by NBC News, not BCC'd to NBC News.
Yes.
And these officials are urging the Senate to carefully evaluate whether Gabbard is equipped for the position, which requires Senate confirmation. The Tulsi spokesperson, Alexa Henning, said, these unfounded attacks are from the same geniuses who have blood on their hands from decades of faulty intelligence, including the non-existent weapons of mass destruction. Yes, what you're seeing is the what is it? Like, it's an injured animal in the corner. The injured animal is the neocons in the military-industrial complex, and they see guys like Pete Hegseth. They see ladies like Tulsi Gabbard, and they go, oh, no. We like war. It's profitable. Make a lot of money with war. Can't have somebody that doesn't want war. So the Tulsi spokesperson said these intel officials continue to use classification as a partisan weapon to smear and imply things about the political enemy without putting the facts out. Yeah. Yep. Nailed it. This is what you see. But in a closed-door hearing, the public would have no idea what these national security officials are telling members of Congress. The deep state is threatened by Tulsi Gabbard, so we're over the target. We're over the target. You're over the target with Hegseth. You're over the target with Gabbard. You're over the target with Kash Patel. You're over the target with RFK. These picks are monumental, and you can tell by the fear. And the people that are alarmed by Tulsi Gabbard, They were fine with, the lousy picks by Biden. Now, anybody that's going to have an issue confirming Pete Hegseth, well, they confirmed Lloyd Austin. Anybody that had an issue confirming Matt Gaetz had no problem with Merrick Garland. It's insanity. It's insanity. Mike in Nashville wants to talk about Hegseth and Patel. What's up, Mike?
Okay, yeah, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
Hey, listen, listen. Here's what I think is going to happen in this situation with the defense secretary. I believe that probably in the next week or two, this guy here is going to probably go ahead and resign. I mean, say he's not in the running anymore because, I listened to what you had to say on Monday and Tuesday when you played the audio of his mother. Yep. His mother basically his mother didn't do him any kind of help.
I don't know. Why did they put her out there? Pete Hegseth's mom is what we're talking about. And she was interviewed by Ducey, the dad Ducey, not Peter Ducey, but his dad. And she was weak, and her best defense of him was, oh, well, he's changed. And I think if you're going to have your mom go out there for you, you say, I wrote an email angry and I shouldn't have.
Well, she basically called her own son a liar in a off-mattered way. The guy's saying that he's not a womanizer and that he didn't drink, but yet in the video she's saying that he used to do these things, and she wrote the letter because she was very upset with his behavior. So am I right? Am I wrong? Isn't she confirming what everybody is saying, that the guy used to drink alcohol and then he used to have womanized women? Is that right in what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think you nailed it. I mean, that's pretty much what she said, because she just kept saying, well, he's changed. I mean, that interview was a whiff. Yeah. I respect the fact that they're fighting, and I respect the fact that they're going to go tooth and nail and do everything they can to get Hegseth confirmed, and I hope he does, like, full disclosure. But you never know, man. You never know. They got the knives out for this guy.
That was definitely a bad. She didn't do him any favors with that. But see, here's the deal. It doesn't matter who Donald Trump tries to get in any of these positions. The Democrats have an agenda, just like you've been saying. This is what they do. They look at the people's backgrounds. They look for past things that have gone wrong, cheating on their wife, drinking alcohol, drugs, or whatever, and they bring this stuff to light. But they never concerned about these things. When he's been on Fox TV for years, and nobody said, nobody gave a damn about none of these accusations that he's doing now, what he did in the past. But now all of a sudden, when he tries to be defense secretary, now it's a big issue. Why was it an issue when he was on Fox television for all these years? Because the reason why it wasn't an issue is because they want to stop and they want to derail Donald Trump from trying to make America great again. And it's simple as that. It doesn't matter. He can bring in the governor of Florida. He can replace him, and they'll find something wrong with him. Yep. We think we know everything about the governor of Florida, but I guarantee you, the Democrats, they'll find something bad about him in his past to try to railroad him from being a Democrat, because this is what they do. Because that's why they call them Democrats. I didn't say crats. I said rats, and that's exactly what they are. And I thank you for taking my call this morning.
You call anytime, Mike. I appreciate you, man. Let's go to Joe in Spring Hill. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Chris, good morning. I just wanted to talk about the nomination process real quick. And what really got me thinking about it was listening to the old ball coach, the senator from the great state of Alabama, Tommy Tuberville. I love guys like that get into politics. When I was a kid, there was Steve Largent, an old wide receiver for the Seahawks, that got into politics. But anyway, what he talked about is he listed the number of Republicans that confirmed people like the Admiral, formerly known as Dick Levine, and Mayorkas, and that horrible individual, the dude in the dress, like they said, that stole people's luggage. I mean, they put people through that were just, it was an absolute abomination of the system. Totally made me sick. With that being the case, if any single Republican at all doesn't confirm every single one of President Trump's picks with the mandate that he's been given, and us knowing what his vision is for this country, they have no business. Their constituents should really take that to heart and really, think about that come election time. They have no business being in office, and it was Tuberville that said it best. And one other quick point, Chris, while I got you on the phone. How ironic is it that they're arguing before the Supreme Court, about transgender thing in Tennessee. And you got Ketanji Brown Jackson. Last I remembered, she didn't know the definition of a woman. So now she's gonna vote on the transgender thing.
Yep. Yeah, it was Marsha Blackburn asked her, what is a woman? She said, I'm not a biologist.
Yeah, I'm not a biologist. And they were like, is it raining outside? You know what? I'm not a meteorologist.
Yeah, weird.
Listen, Chris, thanks so much for taking my call. Everything's been going great lately since you got elected. We look forward to all these guys and women getting confirmed. And when you get a chance, do me a favor. Say hi to your mother for me.
Hey, I will, Joe. Bye. I will, Joe. Tell your mother I said hi. Joe in Spring Hill. I like that. Tell your mother I said hi. Say hi to your mother for me. These are the comments that he was talking about from Tommy Tuberville, saying, listen, Trump vetted these guys first.
Say that we're a better vetter and picker of people than Donald Trump.
But isn't that you're advising consent? That's your job.
Advising consent, but that's more the Democrats.
But don't you think both sides should do the vetting?
Well, yeah, to some degree. I mean, but we have to be convinced. I mean, they should do all the background work. They should go after our nominees. I've not heard very little from the left.
No, we don't hear anything from the left. All you hear is just lies, smears, and sources familiar with their thinking. Benny in Hermitage says he served with Pete Hegseth. What's up, Benny?
Hey, yeah, I served with Pete when he was in the Minnesota National Guard. He did a stint with Stillwater Unit in the MPs, and he was a first lieutenant back at the time. I was sergeant first class. And he's a little pompous and arrogant back then, but I think he'd make a hell of a defense secretary.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call.
You got it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's cool. He said he was a little pompous and arrogant, but other than that.
I mean, sometimes you need that for what's going on.
You gotta have a little bit of confidence, right? I don't know. I like that call. Hey, yeah, he was pompous. He was arrogant, but he'd do a good job.
I think he's a good choice.
That's only 2 strikes, not 3.
Listen, nothing about drinking or womanizing. I think then we're clear. Hey, I got a question for you. If you were running DOGE, what's the first thing you'd cut? What's the first thing you would cut? 615-737-9986. I want to talk about that. DOGE is another one of those things that's definitely over the target. You can hear when people are upset about it, but a lot of people want to join the team when it comes to DOGE. You got Bernie Sanders wanting to get in it. Another Democrat rep getting it. You remember? So I'm a '90s kid, right? And I love wrestling. It's just one of my character flaws, but I love it. And it's like back in the day with WCW, you're like, oh no, who's going to be the next member? And you're like, oh my gosh, it's this guy. What? Well, I'll tell you a Democrat that made me think that the DOGE is becoming like the most popular thing in America. And I was surprised that this guy wants to work with DOGE. I'll tell you about that next. But I want to know, if you were running DOGE, what would you cut first? 615-737-9986. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock store. And it's that time of year again. Christmas, man. What are you going to get your family for Christmas? I can tell you a gift that is going to be undeniably their favorite. That's a training session inside the Shoot 270 indoor shooting rooms at the Glock store. Yeah, it's rooms. It's not lanes. More on that in a bit. The Glock store, they can get you all your Christmas gifts. I mean, it isn't a little department in some huge store. This is a massive place where the primary purpose is to sell Glocks and train you how to use them. That's what they do. That's what they know. That's why they're so good at it. So stop by and take the time to find out why the Glock is the most popular handgun in America by far. It's for a reason. Then ask the guys at the Glock store to tour the Shoot 270 indoor shooting facility. It's the only one in the country, and it's right here in Middle Tennessee. You see, a lane range is a lane range is a lane range. Wherever you go, they're going to be the same. But these Shoot 270 private shooting rooms offer one-on-one personal instruction. And you'll actually shoot less and learn more. And you'll leave those rooms a better, more confident, more competent shooter than you went in every time, guaranteed. I know from personal experience. That's where I do all my training, and it is completely different than a lane range. You have to do it for yourself. You have to experience this in real time. Book your session or a session for somebody else as a gift for Christmas at shoot270.com. You'll be glad you did. It's the Glock store, glockstore.com, shoot270.com. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Still got that crash north of downtown. Well, I stand corrected. Looks like they have just cleared that crash north of downtown. So 65 southbound right before you get to the 24 split should be improving shortly. Jurors are reporting a roadblock in the Marine veteran Daniel Penny chokehold case. We've got that for you at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you were in charge of DOGE, what's the first thing you'd cut? 615-737-9986. Mike Johnson was talking yesterday. And he's talking about, this next Congress. And he said one of the first things that you'll see is that we're going to demand people actually show back up to work. Do you know how many, do you know what percentage of federal employees show up to work?
Yes, I do. And I'm not happy about it.
It's like 1%. And it's even less if you get rid of the custodians and security guards. Weird.
Mr. Speaker. Some labor unions are already fighting back. They've already signed contracts to try and get this, that they could be able to work from home, things like that. Your reaction to that?
Well, there was a report that came out today. I don't know if you all have seen it, but someone did a little survey of how many federal employees are actually working in the office. By one estimate, it may be about 1% if you don't count the security personnel that are covering these buildings. That is absurd. And it's not something the American people will stand for. And so one of the first things that I think you'll see is a demand from the new administration and from all of us in Congress that federal workers return to their desks and get back to the work that they're supposed to be doing. I think that is common sense. What you're going to see here, the overriding theme here, is a return to common sense and a return to accountability and efficiency in government. I think that's going to serve the people well. There'll be a lot more to tell you all in the days ahead. Thanks for being here.
He said, we're going to return to efficiency, and the biggest role in that is going to be the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. And I want to know, if you're in charge of DOGE, what's the first thing you're cutting? Chris on the road, what are you cutting first, man?
Well, the first thing I would cut is the lifelong pension that you get for having served in Congress any amount of time.
Based.
And I would eliminate the health care programs that are unique to the Congress and to the Senate. Which apparently are, cost like 8 to 10 times more than the average insurance policies do.
I love it.
And then to the sergeant first class who served in the National Guard, to be surprised that any lieutenant is not arrogant and pompous is just naive. I served 18 years as a Army Ranger, and every butter bar that I ever met was a pain in the you-know-what.
Yep, I hear you, man. I appreciate the call. I like all those suggestions. Listen, you got to return to efficiency, and you got to get these people back in their desks. I mean, that's step one. If you don't want to show back up to work, well, you can find new work. Stephen Miller was talking about this as well, talking about bureaucrats taking advantage of that COVID remote work policies and the emergency that was COVID.
What's really going to happen here is, again, you're either going to go back to work or you're not going to work, because we are not going to waste American taxpayer dollars. And we're going to make sure these departments are performing the essential functions that the American people pay for. And they're not wasting their time, their money, their energy, or even worse, weaponizing government against the people that actually do go to work for a living. The social contract's going to be restored. If you're watching tonight and you're an honest, law-abiding citizen who takes care of yourself and your family, then this government is going to protect you.
Amen.
And we're going to make sure that the people in Washington, D.C. are protecting you. That's Donald Trump's commitment. That is what the 47th president is going to do. And that's what DOGE also is all about, making sure that your tax dollars are serving you.
Amen. That's incoming White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller telling the Washington bureaucrats, get ready. If you're in charge of DOGE, what's the first thing you're cutting? 615-737-9986. More of your calls next. Plus, the newest sign-ons, the newest believers in DOGE, from the boardroom to the Democrats. We'll cover it next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Jurors are reporting a roadblock on their 4th day of deliberations in the trial of a Marine veteran charged in the chokehold death of a man whom witnesses say was threatening people on a New York City subway. Here's Brian Clark.
Jurors in the Daniel Penny manslaughter trial told Judge Maxwell Wiley they're unable to come to a unanimous vote on whether Penny committed second-degree manslaughter in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely on a New York City subway train. They're asking the judge for instructions because the verdict form says they can only consider the second count, criminally negligent homicide, if they find Penny not guilty on the first.
A D.C.-based federal appeals court has upheld the law requiring a sale of TikTok. The court says China has, quote, positioned itself to manipulate public discourse on TikTok. And if ByteDance doesn't take steps to sell the app by January 19th, it will be unavailable in the U.S. Mayor Freddie O'Connell here in Nashville says the issue of helping police catch criminals with the camera technology known as Fusus isn't over after Metro Council narrowly voted against it. O'Connell says conversations about it will be ongoing. Metro Nashville Council may raise it again.
Councilmember Courtney Johnston tells WTN's Dan Mandis those who oppose the technology may not realize they're already being seen on camera.
These are cameras that are already out there. So if you have some type of expectation of privacy anywhere once you leave your home, that is a false sense of security because no matter where you are, I can guarantee you are on camera somewhere, even if you're getting your nails done.
Fusus plugs into those existing cameras, and it allows police to look at the surveillance video when they need to solve a crime. 20 votes against the technology, 18 votes for. Joan Jones, WTN News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. It's 11:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand here for my friends at Paul Winkler Inc. You know Paul. He hosts the Investor Coaching Show here on WTN. You can catch it tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock. Appointment listening. That's how I was first introduced to Paul. You know, I was a listener to this station way before I got a show here, and I would listen to Paul's show on the weekend, and my wife and I, we would learn from his radio show. So when I got here, I was like, man, sign me up. I want to work with Paul. And I learn more from him now by being able to ask those questions, not feel dumb when I ask dumb questions, and have them explained to me in a way that I can understand. Paul can do this for you. He got his start in the industry after studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. So my wife and I work with Paul, and one of the things that he does for us is he takes the stress out of our financial planning. He can explain the moves we're making, why we're making them, and he does it with confidence and data to back it up. It really takes the stress out of your investments. It really takes the stress out of planning for retirement. And Paul can do all of this for you, and he can put you at ease with just a 15-minute phone call. That's how you kick things off. That's how you start it out. One 15-minute phone call can change your financial future today. Just go to paulwinkler.com to set it up. That's paulwinkler.com. It's 11:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We're talking about DOGE. If you were in charge, what's the first thing you'd cut? 615-737-9986. Senator John Cornyn was asked if they could cut some money. Specifically, you think you can cut $1 trillion? He said, well, I'll give it my best shot.
Can I ask you, I know Joni Ernst, I know that Elon Musk has said he can find $2 trillion to cut from government. Joni Ernst has said we're going to try to do $1 trillion, I think was her language on this. Can you commit here today that Congress, the Senate side, can cut $1 trillion or even $2 trillion?
Well, the federal government spends well in excess of $6 trillion. And we know that, again, the government's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And the reason why that's happening is primarily because we've been incurring more and more debt. Because Congress has tried to kick the can down the road on some of the hard decisions, which are where we should cut, where we should seek efficiencies. But frankly, Martha, we have run out of road to kick that can down. So I'm really excited about the opportunity we have now as a result of the confluence of all these events.
So can you commit to cutting $1 trillion, Senator?
I'm going to give it my best shot.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to. He doesn't sound as confident as I want him to sound, but he's going to give it his best shot. And Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be there every step of the way trying to cut as well. What's the first thing you'd cut? Troy in the borough. If you're in charge of DOGE, what are you getting rid of?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you first, your first caller, Chris, most of all, thanks to him and his 18 years of service in our military. We just need to shout out to them. Only accounts for 6 or 7% of the U.S. population. But Chris hit it dead on the head. It's the entitlement by our elected federal officials. They underperform. They're padding their pockets. It's the health care, it's the pensions he talked about. But there's smaller things, too, like I'm in the auto industry, so in the auto industry, you get a good deal on lease cars through your employer, and the federal government is taxing you every year on what's called an imputed income because the general person off of the street can't walk in and get that lease car for the same price you're getting it for. Well, they're not putting in them hours and the work and the effort and the pain and tears to earn that benefit.
Yep.
So what about Congress? Their health not their health care, but their fitness center, their activity center, if you will, their gymnasium, their cafeteria. They get so many benefits hand over fist.
Yep.
And are they having to pay imputed income? They're just spoiled, they're entitled, and they're out of control.
Yep, I'm with you. I appreciate the call, Troy. Sam in Dixon, what are you doing first if you're in charge of DOGE?
Thank you for taking my call. Yeah, the first thing I would cut, and the first thing I hope they cut, is the IRS.
Yeah, 87,000 agents, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Get rid of 80,000 agents and redo the tax code where it's like so simple even I can do it.
Yep. I mean, is it like a million pages in the tax code now? I appreciate the call, Sam. We got to get DOGE in there. DOGE has to be going at 100%. And, listen, there are people that you don't expect to be all in on DOGE. Democrat Rep. Ro Khanna is now down with DOGE. This is coming after other Democrats have stepped out and said that they're down with DOGE. And I made the note earlier. It reminds me of like the NWO back in the 90s and WCW wrestling. It's like, whoa, who's going to be the next member? And it would surprise you. I think DOGE is going to end up being one of the most popular things in America because we all understand the wasteful spending. And there are smart individuals, whether through self-preservation or through actually wanting to restrict some federal spending, because I do think that there are Democrats out there that believe in that as well. They're gonna line up and sign up with DOGE. Rep. Ro Khanna came out and did it. Bernie Sanders has come out and been supportive of it. Rep. Jared Moskowitz out of Florida has been supportive of it. These are all Democrats. It's not just elected officials. You got big business guys, too. Bezos has come out in support of DOGE. And Bezos, I mean, if there's anybody that knows about regulation, I'm sure Bezos understands regulation.
More settled. Let me ask one related question, then I want to actually get into space, but it actually is an interesting segue to space, because we were talking earlier this morning to Sam Altman about Elon Musk. And Elon Musk's relationship with the president, interestingly. And there's been a lot of questions about whether there could be the possibility that Elon, given his proximity, would make things difficult for people who are his competitors. Elon, in the space context, is your biggest competitor.
Yes.
Does this concern you?
Well, they're certainly very able competitors. I mean, this is an arena where I have the...
Oh, no. I know he's a great competitor. No, I'm saying, does it concern you, his proximity?
No, I was headed there.
Oh.
But I'm just saying they're certainly very good competitors, and, no doubt about that. I take at face value what has been said, which is that, he is not going to use his political power to advantage his own companies or to disadvantage his competitors. I take that at face value. I could be wrong about that, but I think it could be true. I think he probably is trying to, I think this Department of Government Efficiency and that he and Vivek are helping Trump with and so on. Again, I'd like to take, I've had a lot of success in life not being cynical. And I've very rarely been taken advantage of as a result. It's happened a couple of times, but not very often. And I think that cynicism, why be cynical about that? Let's go into it hoping that the statements that have been made are correct, that this is going to be done, above board in the public interest. And if that turns out to be naive, well, then we'll see. But I actually think it's going to be great.
I think DOGE is going to be great, too. Wes in White House, if you're in charge of DOGE, what's the first thing you're going to cut?
Man, for goodness sake, all funding to NPR. They're the biggest CNN of radio, man. Sometimes I drive a truck and the only thing I can pick up is NPR. And man, if you're a Republican or a Trump fan, I have to hold my nose when I listen to it. It's unfortunate sometimes it's all I can get, but absolutely every dime away from them.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, NPR, there's no reason. It's government propaganda. There's no reason it should be getting our tax dollars. NPR's CEO, Catherine Mayer, once said, truth is a distraction from getting things done.
But one of the most significant differences, critical for moving from polarization to productivity, is that the Wikipedians who write these articles aren't actually focused on finding the truth. They're working for something that's a little bit more attainable, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years there, I actually believe that they're onto something. That for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start.
Oh, all right. That's NPR's CEO. So yeah, I think that's a good place to start with cutting if you're DOGE. Megyn Kelly put it this way: go Edward Scissorhands on NPR. That's what she said. NPR gets about $100 million of taxpayer money a year.
News today, courtesy of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I guess has been appointed to head the congressional subcommittee that's supposed to help DOGE, Elon's and Vivek's, Department of Government Efficiency. They're supposed to work from the congressional angle on helping suggest cuts for DOGE. And she mentioned in an interview with Maria Bartiromo, NPR. NPR gets almost $100 million of taxpayer money a year, $91 million. That's crazy. Sohrab Armani was out on X yesterday calling attention to a segment he had just listened to where they were saying, women are not the only ones who get periods. Women, I don't wish to fund that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's where your tax dollars are going, over at NPR. I think that'd be a great place to start. I think, it'd be a glorious place to start. Randy in Old Hickory, if you're in charge of DOGE, where are you starting?
Hey, Chris, all State Department money other than travel expenses when Trump sends one of them to visit China or whatever.
That's it. Just cut everything.
Everything.
I love it. Thanks, Randy. I appreciate the call. I would cut a lot of that. And what is it? Kash Patel. He was saying that, how about we just start giving money back instead of at the end of fiscal year going on trips to burn through our budget. He said it's the biggest misconception in Congress that you can't give money back. Let's just give the money back if we don't spend it. Instead of in the 10th hour, the 11th hour, being like, we have to spend the remainder of our budget. Who's going where? You guys want to go to Mexico? Like, that seems like a bit of a waste. DOGE is over the target. Pete Hegseth is over the target. Tulsi Gabbard is over the target. RFK is over the target. Kash Patel certainly over the target. And you can tell when these elites and these swamp creatures get so upset about it. You can just tell. I think DOGE is going to be fantastic, and I can't wait for them to get to work. You can already tell that the momentum is on their side when you see Democrats coming around and trying to join their ranks like Ro Khanna or Bernie Sanders and more. Jasmine Crockett said she wants to talk with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy about DOGE, but I don't think they should let her in. She said it would be like the time she met with J6 prisoners. Oh.
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have left the Capitol, and their parting words were that they, quote, want to meet with Democrats next time. Would you meet with them?
Oh, I would meet. Now, I don't know that they want to meet with me, but I would absolutely. Listen, if they are going to have this little DOGE commission or whatever it is that they are calling, I absolutely want to understand as much about it as I can so that I can report back. It's kind of like that time that we had to go and see the January 6ers at the jail. I had to show up to make sure that the truth was going to be reported.
Yeah. You're a bastion of truth and light, Jasmine Crockett. Anybody that's defending the amount of spending that the government is doing is not America first. I think that's all but guaranteed. It's 11:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Murphy's doing the afternoon show today. So our new guy that's doing 12 to 3, Chad, he's in for Murphy. We'll check in with Chad, see what's coming up on the Chad Benson show next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
I do everything from scrubbing cages to asking people for donations to answering the phones and helping facilitate getting animals to the rehab. I'm there on the weekends, up there taking care of animals with the team.
You got a great team there. It's a small team, but a great team that works together. And
Well, I started about 20 years ago. My dear friend Carol Burgess founded Harmony in Fairview.
Okay.
And we decided to reopen it in West Nashville. And we are rocking along. Lots of animals. One of the primary calls that we get are, I found a bird, it's on the ground, what do I do? And in most situations, you should let it alone unless there's an imminent danger to that animal, because the parents are helping it and feeding it, and it just needs a couple of scary days on the ground until it gets back up into flight. What about bunnies, Melody? Can we give advice about bunnies?
The bunnies, they're just the sweetest, most innocent creatures, and we just see the worst things happen to them. Cats, dogs, lawnmowers, weed whackers.
In most cases, if the animals aren't injured, if you can put the rabbits back, that's always better to be with the mother rabbit than to come to us.
All the storms that have been coming through and just destroying nests, and a lot of babies will be found on the ground. Re-nesting is possible and preferable.
You play the video calls and you put the baby near where they found it, and the mama will actually come down and pick it up and then bring it back.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cool?
Nice.
It's 11:55 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Allow me to reintroduce you once again to the guy taking over 12-3 come, what is it, December 26th?
Yeah.
Chad Benson. Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much, brother. You and I were stuck in the other rooms the other day when everybody was partying.
We got to get you some shine, man. Like, you deserve it. Like, I'm very, very excited for you to be joining the team.
I'm excited.
I think you bring a unique flavor, and you're right in line with this energy that we got here.
Yeah.
The vibes. He fits the vibe. So, what do you think about Nashville so far?
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a sane place, and it's neat too because where I lived before, very rural, very, I called it the Valley of the Dirt People because literally it was the Valley of the Dirt People. If you came out of my complex, you went left, you're about a half a mile to the Tohono Oda tribe, and then you're 2 hours from the Sea of Cortez in Mexico.
It's crazy.
And then, if you turn right, you got on the freeway and you're an hour into Phoenix.
Yeah.
So, but there was not a lot around me, man. And we're living dead center. The kids they love the trees. That was, and the other thing is my 13-year-old loves the hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
Because she's used to being rural. And she just thinks it's the coolest thing in the world.
What's it like raising kids that close to the border?
The interesting part was because the area that we lived, the Tohono Oda tribe, that area right there, there's very little border patrol. A lot of my friends are border agents, and that is the busiest place for fentanyl because it's unstoppable.
Really?
Yeah, and the tribe kind of looks the other way. And it's interesting because the Tohono O'odham tribe actually their land goes on into Mexico, and Mexico's granted them that. So it's just interesting. But one thing's for sure, all around us. The other thing for the last umpteen years, which you guys probably don't know about, is the missing Native women. There's thousands of them who just disappear all the time.
And you think that's like a human trafficking?
Oh, absolutely. And when I mean disappear, I mean it's like one of those things where you think it's a horror movie. It's like you go and there's pictures everywhere, and so like it's weird living out there because you are so close to the border, and every other car is a border car because they can't have any roads out there, so they have to have their ATVs. And
Really?
stuff. They won't allow them because it's native land. So the feds have they're allowed to ride their ATVs and they fly some drones, but they've got to do everything else on basically foot.
Wow, that's intense.
It's so intense. And like when my buddies, because we play pickleball like every day. They would say, it's hard too because you get these little kids coming across, and you got to be a human being, man. You're just looking at get these people that that a vast majority of them, I would do it, man. If I lived somewhere else and I had this next door, I'm coming.
I would never knock somebody for doing that because I would do it in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
But it's like that when they accuse us of not being compassionate, it blows my mind because it's like, do you guys see the 2-year-old that showed up at the border by herself the other day? Like, where's the compassion
boy?
there? Yeah.
And my thought is, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking if you send your kid there and that kid gets there in a situation like that, I'm sorry, we can't let our kids go across the street in some states without getting arrested.
Listen, you had that story in Georgia.
Yes.
The mom gets arrested for a 10-year-old walking around town by himself.
The town of 800. Everybody's met.
A 2-year-old shows up at the border alone. ABC can't even be bothered to cover it.
Yeah, it is. It's a sad situation, but it's interesting. But I will tell you, man, being out there and then my son's in San Diego, I'd have to drive. Man, you have no idea how many people you see just all waiting for somebody to come take them into custody.
Really?
All the time.
They're just waiting for that.
That's what they want. They want to surrender so they can go do their amnesty.
Get their hotel, get their cell phone, the debit card with $20,000.
Yeah, but a lot where I live too, you would see that, but you also see a lot of people they're coming back and forth because they're smuggling people, they're smuggling drugs.
Insane.
It's so insane, dude. It's you have no idea how bad it really is until you're there firsthand.
Yeah, I want to listen to your border story. I feel like you got 1,000,001.
Oh God, yeah, I got some crazy, and with my buddy Matt Gaetz. The wrong guy to surrender to, ma'am.
I'm looking forward to Chad joining the team. I think he's a great addition. He's in for Murphy next, 12 to 3. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.